Hi, I'm Patricia Allingham Carlson, and this is my painting From the Cliffs of Tyler, Part 4. In Part 4, I'm painting leaves and branches, deciding where to leave whites, and adding many more layers in the tree trunks. When I started this painting, several weeks ago, I was a little daunted by the challenges that were presented. First of all, there was the aerial perspective. I was high up on the cliffs looking down at water way below. So the perspective was interesting and a little bit challenging. Secondly, there were so many leaves in the foreground to look through to see the view below, and how to show them in an accurate way that would also be of interest. That was my challenge. I hope that you'll find that I accomplished some of it anyway, and that you'll enjoy the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you do, and thank you. Today I'm hoping to finish this painting. This is video 4. I'm working with the tree trunks and where they show through the leaves. I'll be painting around leaves, adding accents where needed, and doing all the final tweaking to pull this painting together, because essentially it's really close to being done. Where I wanted to accent and show strongly through the paler colors, I'm adding mixtures of sepia and purple and indigo. I'm trying to balance the branches full of leaves with lightness and all the light shining on them, and accenting to make some of the branches stand out more strongly. I'm also trying to decide where I want the branches, or the leaves rather, to stay entirely white, because the sun was so bright on that side of the slope that some of the leaves did appear to be white, as well as certain areas of the bark of the trees. The far left slope going down the hill was very, very light, because that was the strongest lit. I'm painting around leaves with darker colors to make them stand out and be highlighted. And figuring out which leaves I want to be a brilliant yellow. So many leaves, and there was so much work to do to make them look the way I wanted them to. Now I'm going in and adding branches to support all those leaves, and I'm making them appear and disappear behind the clumps. They are not going on continually. And adding some brilliantly colored orange leaves. You know, one of my favorite color combinations is blue and orange together. And they're perfect colors for the fall. They do a nice complementary color dance. If you had an interest in seeing a video about painting 2 zillion leaves, this would be the one for you, because that is what I do in this video. Paint leaves. I'm returning to the tree trunks and developing the areas where they show through the leaves, and moving back down to the bottom to decide where I want to add the final shadows. I've also enhanced some of the colors in the foreground dirt and piles of roots and sloping hill. And I'm picking up some additional color on the trees as well. Where the shadows are dark, I want them to accent and be quite strong. And these dark colors are pulling together the lighter areas. As I said before, I took this photograph a number of years ago during a hike. And I thought it was quite a lovely thing to try to paint in the future, but I was intimidated by all the leaves and how to show them, as well as the perspective of the view looking down from up high to a lower area. But I have enjoyed the challenge of this. As I approach the finishing of a painting, there's an awful lot to look at to see where it needs to be tweaked. So painting leaves and tweaking are essentially what's going on here. Now I decided to add a darker branch to accent some of the lighter areas. And the big tree in the foreground needed some more darks as well. Carefully preserving the leaf shapes and painting around them to let the tree show through. And I'm allowing the tree to show up at the very top to keep the continuity of the form, the vertical form reaching upward. So strengthening the trunks to the top of the painting does allow the composition to make more sense. That's probably about the 5th or 6th time I've darkened those trees on the shadowed side of their trunks. But they needed it. And as each glaze dried and got too pale, it needed to be darkened again. At this stage, I'm allowing my eye to be drawn all over the picture and just painting by a sort of instinct about what needs to be done, what needs to be darkened, what needs to be perhaps lightened, or branches need to be added or thickened to add to the structure. I'm just sort of painting by what feels right. If you're looking at a reference photo, you can't possibly paint it just like the reference, and you might not want to. There are things you might want to include or exclude or change for color. And that's where your own judgment comes in. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about with that. But I do like how that dark trunk makes the leaves show so brightly. Tweaking around the painting with greens. And some yellow greens. I'm adding some dark to the background in the top left to make the leaves and the trees stand out a little bit more strongly. That was also the darkest spot in the reference photograph. And now I'm doing my cover-up evaluation, and I could see what's working and I could see what needs more development. Where the far shoreline is showing through the leaves is indicated on the left, but I'm making it follow through across the painting. So there's just a suggestion of where the trees start on the other side. And that's what I was using the ruler for. It was to make a line across where the shoreline would start. So I've suggested it through the leaves without spelling it out. A small stick in the foreground is being shaded more, as well as the roots around the largest foreground tree. And some stronger shadowing still. But I'm still not using black. I'm still using my mixture of sepia and indigo with sometimes some purple. A lot of artists don't believe in using black in a realistic or natural type of painting. It certainly has its place in other kinds of paintings, such as the more graphic work. But most of my teachers in my life have told me there's not a true black in nature, but rather deep colors. And if you look closely, you can see different colors, perhaps, where it might appear to be black initially. You could see the hint of green or purple or blue or magenta or brown. And that's something fun to exaggerate sometimes in painting. And there I am back to tweaking the leaves again. But I am getting more satisfied with them. And I think that the painting is coming closer to being done. Maybe the last darkening of the tree trunks. Maybe not. It's just gotta look right. Oh, I like that development with the dark accents. It made the tree look more realistic, I think. But I'm starting to get the feeling of the day and the place. And I'm getting more satisfied with the painting. I'm adding some finer branches at this point. And defining some leaves even more. Putting a mat around it helps me to look at it more clearly without all the distraction around it, and shows me what I need to further refine. So I'm adding a little bit of yellow ochre to simulate that glow of sunshine here and there. I'm back to defining more leaves, because this painting, although it does not appear to be about leaves, it really was about leaves for the painting aspect, because there were so many. And I wanted to get them looking somewhat between natural and painterly, and it was a challenge. There's my signature pen, and done is done, and it is getting signed. From the Cliffs of Tyler. I hope you enjoyed From the Cliffs of Tyler, and that you'll subscribe and ring the bell to get notices of future videos I post. In the description below, you'll find links to the materials I like to use, to my Facebook, my art page, my blog, and to art products I make. Comments are a big help too. I'll see you next painting.